And there is a sense that just being male is toxic, or just being white is toxic. Your whiteness, and it's like, what are you talking about? I've always tried to be an ally. That's what a lot of people are saying, and now you're coming after me. This whole idea of, like, you have two choices. You're either a racist, or you're a racist and you don't know it. People who have lived a right-thinking life their whole life, that's not their thing. Why are you coming after me? Have I turned my life over to this issue? No, but I can't. I have a job and kids and a wife and stuff to do. I can't do that. Now, Josh Hawley is a dangerous guy. Let's get to the essence of Josh Hawley. He's not wrong about this particular issue, but it's minor to someone who does not acknowledge what happened on January 6th. A much bigger question is, what do you do when there are people in our government who don't believe in our form of government? And he is one of them.
He'll say, no, 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 I believe in it. January 6th was bad and wrong, said and settled. You guys are only upset about it because you get to use it as a cudgel, but you didn't care about the black people and their allies running around burning down all those cities the summer before.
Well, it's a false comparison, and it wasn't the Capitol. And they weren't trying to stop a duly elected officer at the highest level of government from taking office. I mean, it's a pretty sobering thought that the Republican with the most backbone was Mike Pence.
But for Pence, it could have been a very different scenario,
yes.
By the way.
I mean, when I mention Liz Cheney now, and the audience claps, I'm like, oh, we love her now. Isn't that interesting?
Depends.
And I see why.
Let's see if she goes after Biden a couple more times. But then again, who knows how long she's around in her own primary.
That's her job to go after Biden. That's what Republicans do. They go after I mean, we did that forever. Republicans and Democrats were cats and dogs, and they fought. But also, Tip O'Neill and Reagan could have a drink after work. They could work together. I don't know how we're ever going to work together. How do you? We have how many QAnon members of Congress now? QAnon. I mean, Marjorie Taylor.
You're right. You got him.
How do you negotiate with people who think the Democrats eat babies?
That's right.
Where does that negotiation?
That's an obvious problem. I think the bigger problem, and I'll take a break and then we'll discuss about this, is what goes unsaid, that people won't stand up. I believe the pandemic for us was a low point on a lot of different levels. We made ourselves sick on purpose. And then we kept ourselves there. I want to talk to you because you have a very interesting take on the whole situation. One more break. When we come back, Bill Maher on where we are. Last topic, we made ourselves sick. That's what the pandemic's about. What does Bill Maher think about it? We made ourselves sick, literally and figuratively. Pandemic comes, people tell us, okay, it's going to be here, there are going to be a lot of cases, let's prepare. The top echelon of government, our president says, nah, it's not going to be that bad, we'll be fine, it will disappear in a few cases. Of course it doesn't. But it created a line where now we see it almost exclusively on the basis of politics. Who buys into things about COVID and the treatment and the facts? Who doesn't? How do you see it?
Well, you said we made ourselves sick. The bigger issue that is never discussed is that we were sick. You know, before you get sick, you are sick. This is a very sick country, still is. I don't mean mentally, although that too, but physically. And why don't you talk about that? I mean, there is, let's call it factor X. If there was a factor that was responsible for 78% of the COVID deaths and hospitalizations, wouldn't you have to really journalistically report that?
The comorbidities.
I'm talking about obesity. People in the media, people in the government are afraid to even mention it. Again, 78%, 88% of worldwide deaths are in high obesity countries. 40% of COVID deaths are people with diabetes. And yet, no one will mention it. I do, but they hate me for it.
I talk about it, but you're right. It's not the prevailing narrative.
People have got to participate in their health. I said this before the pandemic. I said, we will never get health care right in this country. I don't care if you take Bernie Sanders' health care plan, Elizabeth Warren's health care plan, Joe Biden's. Nothing is going to work, and it wasn't working, unless people understand that they have some skin in the game. They have to participate in their own health. You can't expect just vaccines and pills or whatever else they have to do the job. And we never do that in this country. The last person who tried was Michelle Obama. And it did not go over well.
When we talk again 8 months from today, hopefully we'll talk a lot before then. 8 months from today, do you think things are better or worse?
Well, they're not going better for Biden and the Democrats. And I think that's 8 months is going to be close to the midterm election. I think they're going to get thumped in the election. I mean, that usually happens in midterm elections. But, Joe, look, I'm glad he's there, but he has not exactly stuck the landing on a lot of the issues that he was dealing with. The time I'm worried about, that I keep talking about, is Election Day 2024 until January 20th, 2025, Inauguration Day. Because again, if Trump loses, he will not say he lost. That will never happen. He will never concede, as I said last time. But this time, it's not going to be like last time. I mean, he almost pulled it off last time. And this time, he's had 4 years to get those people in place. So what happens on January 20th, 2025, when he shows up for the inauguration? And Joe Biden, or whoever the Democrat is, shows up for that inauguration. What happens then? That's when I want to be, on vacation in London